Hi everyone, welcome to the solution of this practice exercise of a passage on history. So I hope you must have attempted it, and here is the discussion, the solution of the passage. So this was the passage. So you can stop the video if you have not attempted it. You can stop the video and read the passage and then proceed to solve the questions. Right, so I hope you must have read it, and let me very quickly tell you what the passage is about. Let me very quickly read the passage and tell you what it is about. In 1939, as World War II loomed, the British and French planned to fight an updated version of what happened in 1914 to 1918 during World War I, but with some essential differences. So, all right, we are talking about World War II, and it is saying that British and French planned to fight an updated version of what happened in 1914 to 18. So they must have fought once in 1914 to 18 World War, and now they are fighting again with some essential differences. So obviously next what will follow is what's the difference. The Maginot Line replaced the crude trenches in which so much of 1914-18 war was fought. It consisted of sophisticated series of fortifications which were confidently expected to protect France's frontiers with Germany, although crucially the line did not cover the Franco-Belgian frontier. In general, the slow tempo attritional fighting of World War I heavy influenced the French military doctrine at the outbreak of World War II. So this talks about what is that difference. So that difference is the Maginot Line. It has replaced the crude trenches of 1914 to 18, and this is description of the Maginot Line, and it doesn't cover Franco-Belgian border. This is given. But Hitler's war was bold and quick. It was blitzkrieg. So this was about the French, what they were doing. And this is about what Hitler was doing. That means what Germany was doing. But Hitler's war was bold and quick. It was blitzkrieg. Right. So French were still being governed by what happened in World War I, but Hitler has changed his strategy. Next, the Maginot Line was such an impressive piece of construction that dignitaries from around the world visited it. However, it had two major failings. So these are the two major failings of Maginot Line. It was not mobile, and it assumed that Ardennes was impenetrable. Then the description is about the Ardennes region. It's an extensive forest, rough terrain, rolling hills, and so on and so forth. And allied, that means the French generals believed that it was impenetrable, that nobody could attack them from this particular area, and that is why perhaps they did not cover Ardennes. And they were of the belief that they cannot be attacked from this frontier, and that's why they left it undefended during the war. All right. The Germans, defying expectation, concentrated their advances at Ardennes. So French was believing that that Germans will not attack, but Germans, defying their expectation, made advancement in Ardennes, which French military planners had assumed to be essentially impossible. Again, the repetition of same thing, and that any German attempt there would take weeks. So Germany was not hoping or expecting that France was not expecting that Germany would attack them from Ardennes, but that's what Germans did. And how they did it is mentioned here. Through strenuous maneuvering and planning, the military strategists of Nazi Germany selected the Ardennes forest as the primary route of their mechanized force in the invasion of France. The forest great size could conceal the armored division, and because the French did not suspect that Germans would make such a risky move, they did not consider a breakthrough there. So what has happened is that the French people believe that Ardennes was impenetrable and Germany will not attack, but that is what Germany did. And this is what the main thing of the passage is. And then the last line talks about Germany crossed the impenetrable Ardennes in less than 4 days. French believe that it would take them weeks to do so, but they did it in less than 4 days. The defeat of France was now inevitable. There was no line to hide behind. The French were fighting World War II with the World War I methods and weapon. Right. So the passage is simple. It talks about the failed French strategy of World War II against Germany. Let us see the question. From where could have been the passage extracted? The autobiography of Adolf Hitler. Now, consider what kind of language is being used in autobiography. It would be more personal in nature. This looks like somebody who wasn't part of the war, who was not himself part of the war, has written the passage. There is no personal account here. The autobiography will have more personal account to it. So this definitely is not the answer. A blog by a World War historian. Yes, this looks a very good option. A blog by a World War historian means somebody who knows in detail about what happened in the World War has written it. This looks a very good option. Let us look at C. A write-up on different military strategies. So is this a write-up on different military strategies? The military strategies have been discussed only from the French and German angle, and that too in one particular war. So we cannot say that it is a write-up on different military strategies because only two strategies have been discussed. All right. So this cannot be the answer. A history textbook of a school student. So does the language in the school textbook, is it like this, that so detailed that how the war took place and what was their strategy? This kind of language is not found in the textbook of school students. The textbooks will typically have that there was a war and what happened in brief in that war. That's all it will be having. It will not be having such detailed description of the strategy. So an option which came close to B was perhaps C, a write-up on different military strategies. But again, there are not different military strategies discussed. Only French and German strategies with respect to World War II is discussed here. Right. Next, which of the following was an assumption of French military strategists? German would not attack through ordnances. This is repeated several times that they considered it as impenetrable, and that is why they left it undefended. Now, because they left it undefended, of course, we can say that their assumption was that Germany would not attack. Germans would not attack through France through Belgian frontier. Yeah, again, it's mentioned here that Germany, the Maginot Line did not cover the Franco-Belgian frontier. So since Maginot Line did not cover, and it was one of the main things in the World War II that French deployed, their view was that France would not attack them through Belgian frontier. So both 1 and 2 are valid assumptions. What would characterize the military strategy of France and Germany respectively? The passage gives you that the French were fighting World War II with World War I methods and weapons. So that means they were traditional in approach. And with respect to Germany, it is talked about bold, quick, blitzkrieg. So answer is option number C. Let us evaluate the other option. Swift versus risky. It is exactly opposite. French strategy by no means can be called as swift. Yes, German's strategy can be called as risky, but French strategy cannot be called as swift. B, attritional versus bold. Attritional is talked about, but that is talked about French strategy with respect to World War I and not World War II, right? So bold, of course, we can talk about Germany in the sense of bold. Unplanned versus well-planned. Again, I cannot say whether French were unplanned. They may have bad plan in place, but they at least had plan in place, so we cannot call it as unplanned. So answer is option number C. Next, which can be inferred from the passage? A war of attrition took place in the trenches in World War I. Yeah, it is said here. The Maginot Line replaced the crude trenches in which so much of 1914 to 18 war was fought, right? And again, attritional fighting of World War I. So we can say that we can definitely infer this. France and Germany were on war at least twice. Now, this is something which you have to infer, because in World War I they were fighting each other, and then again in World War II. So at least twice we can certainly say. We cannot say more than that, but at least twice they definitely were against each other. So this again can be inferred. Third, the immobility of Maginot Line was the main reason that led to the defeat of France. Now, after reading the passage, we can understand that immobility of Maginot Line was one of the reason, but was it the main reason? The main reason was that Ardennes was left undefended. Ardennes was left undefended. So I can't say this as the main reason. So my answer is option number B. I can infer 1 and 2. Next, which of the following is similar to the logic of French military strategist and Germans' response to it? So what was the strategy of France? France's strategy was they left something undefended because they felt it is impenetrable. Nobody can attack it. So French strategy was, they believe that nobody will attack a particular thing. Nobody can attack Ardennes, and they left it undefended. Hence, they left it undefended. This was their strategy. What was Germany's strategy? Germany did precisely what France was not expecting. It attacked it. So what we are saying is the logic is that what I am not expecting, that is being done. So let us see. Thinking that a particular topic is very complex to be tested in the exam, a student prepares for it. All right, so a student prepares for it. But it's pretty illogical that if a student think that it is very complex to be tested, but still prepares for it. So there itself, this logic doesn't fit. Examiner does not ask for that topic. No. Why? Understand. Thinking that a particular topic is very complex to be tested in the exam, a student prepares for it. So a student thinks that it is very complex and will not be tested in the exam, but still prepares it. Fine. So it is like French thinking that it is impenetrable, but is still defends it. That kind of logic. So that did not happen in the passage. So this is not the answer. B, thinking that a particular topic is very complex to be tested in the exam, a student does not prepare for it. So this is fine. So French thinking that Ardennes is difficult to attack, they did not defend it. Till this part, it is fine. Examiner does not ask question from that topic. But the problem is Germany attacked it. They did not expect, but Germany attacked it. Now here a student did not expect, did not prepare, and examiner did not ask it. So this is again not the logic. Ideally, the something like this, examiner asked question from that topic. If this was given, then this definitely would have been the answer. C, thinking that a particular topic is very complex to be tested in an exam, a student prepare for it. Here itself, I can say, for the simple reason, the way I have said A cannot be the answer, I read till this point and I say C cannot be the answer. So I have to mark none of the above as the answer. So that is it, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this exercise and learned how to solve the questions, and in whatever mistakes you have committed, you will not commit in the forthcoming exercises. Thanks.